I'm the dude. So that's what you call me.
Are you a virgin?
Yeah, not since I was 10.
Are you there, God? It's me, Margaret.
Come on to the coast. We get together, have a few laughs.
Gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room.
Can I return it if it doesn't fit?
It always fits. Eventually.
Welcome back to Movie Mingle. I'm Caveman.
And I'm Maggie.
And we are on our 19th episode.
Amazing.
We're doing The Dark Knight.
Batman.
Wow. Oh, wait, that's a different Nolan film.
That's a different Nolan film.
This is our second episode we're doing for Nolan Fest.
This is also technically our third Batman episode, but our second Batman movie since the Joker did not have the Batman.
It's in the world of Batman, but it's not Batman.
Yeah. So it's our third Gotham movie and second Batman film.
There you go.
And considering what this movie is and who it's about, there will be a lot of comparisons to the other ones we've already watched. So buckle up.
It is the 7th live-action Batman movie in the Batman verse of all the Batman movies that have been done since 1966. And out of 9, The Batman was the 9th one from 2022. But this one is Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight from 2008. Obviously, Christopher Nolan directed it. He also wrote it with his brother Jonathan Nolan and David S. Goyer, who David S. Goyer, after the Nolan trilogy, he went on to write some screenplays and also produce a bunch of other DC properties along with Zack Snyder. We've got the incredibly talented Hans Zimmer.
Along with James Newton.
Along with James Newton Howard, yes.
Yes, so this is a dual soundtrack, which I wrote in my notes, before we get too far into the music, I did write in my notes that this is possibly my third favorite Zimmer score. But then
ranking Zimmer now.
Yeah, but I would have to literally sit down with his filmography to figure it out. But I know that before it would definitely be the King Arthur movie from the early 2000s, which is a film I fucking love. But yeah, Hans Zimmer and James Newton Howard did this score together. I think they also did the score together for Batman Begins. And then The Dark Knight Rises was just Hans Zimmer. The
cinematography for The Dark Knight was done by Wally Pfister, who was Nolan's...
Pfister, I hardly know her.
Great. He was Nolan's cinematographer on everything before Interstellar. And then Hoyt van Hoytema, who we talked previously when we did our Oppenheimer episode, did everything after from Interstellar on, I should say. Why Nolan switched up his cinematographer after such a great run and some really amazingly beautiful movies, I don't know. But
I mean, commitment issues, personal fallouts.
Essentially, it's
drug deal gone wrong. Who knows?
Drug deal gone wrong. That's probably it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Essentially, Interstellar, Dunkirk, Tenet, and Oppenheimer were all done by Hoyt van Hoytema.
I'm sorry, I wasn't paying too much attention because producer Robin's being an absolute asshole.
He's going after everything on the wall that he usually ignores.
I've never seen him try to eat tacks before, but here we are. I realize that this is way too soon to get into this conversation, but arguably I might enjoy Hoyt van Hoytema's cinematography a bit more than Pfister's, but I really have to sit down and think about it because, I mean, we just finished watching Oppenheimer, and that is such a beautifully fucking shot film versus The Dark Knight, which is beautiful, but it doesn't have that same level of like that Oppenheimer had, you know?
Oppenheimer. And...
no disrespect to Pfister. I'm sure he's out there just fisting everything left, right, and center. Because Christopher Nolan's always had beautifully shot films. So whatever reason he decides to, maybe Pfister got a better job and went off to fist his way across Hollywood. Who knows?
Wow. Are you just going to go?
This is already off the rails. You can't put the name Pfister in front of me and not expect me to run with it.
I didn't name him. That's what his name is.
Between Pfister and producer Robin causing absolute chaos, this podcast is already completely insane.
Buckle up, buckaroo!
Yeah, he worked on The Dark Knight Rises was his last movie with Nolan, and then he went on to do a Taco Bell video called Taco Bell Web of Fries 2 Franchise Wars, which I'm sure was stunning.
Maybe him and Nolan got into it. Maybe he was fisting the wrong person.
He hasn't done anything since 2018,
or maybe he just took his money and ran. Who knows? Maybe being a cinematographer has got to be a pretty exhausting job. Maybe he was just like, you know what? I've made my money. I'm gonna go spend time with my family and just fist happily in privacy. Sorry.
So moving on. The Dark Knight was certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. No surprise there.
No.
With a 94% from both critics and audiences. I really like it when critics and audiences can agree on a movie. But at the same time, I also like it when they disagree. When audience scores are higher than critics, it means that it's going to be a really fun popcorn blockbuster kind of flick. And when critics agree... When critics rate something higher than audiences, it means it's probably like a really like art house, weird, and you only the people who were meant to get it kind of movie, which is like so snobby.
Movies that you like.
Yeah, super snobby ones that I love.
Yeah.
We talked about, because we recently did Tron Legacy, and Tron Legacy was done for $200 million. And this one was done for $185 million. And we know Christopher Nolan also loves practical effects over a lot of over use of computer animation.
Christopher Nolan would have never made Tron Legacy. He never would make. He would never make a Tron movie.
No.
Although, could you imagine if he did?
I'd probably be more bored.
Beautiful.
It'd be beautiful, sure.
And a little boring. 9 hours long.
So it was made for $185 million, but it made over $1 billion worldwide.
Yeah. Which was the first comic book movie to make over $1 billion. I read on IMDb.
And then 2008 is the same year that Iron Man came out. And
which insane that those two movies came out the same year.
I completely deleted that from my brain. I don't know what my nerd self was doing in 2008, and realizing that I had just seen The Dark Knight and Iron Man the same year.
Well, probably having a pretty good fucking year.
Probably having a good fucking year.
We were also married with
no
a year
kids.
or so. Yeah,
married for a year.
No kids.
No kids.
We spent a lot of time at the movie theater.
Oh, yeah. So we were having a blast. Kids. And then it made another $300 million in physical media sales at home, which...
Makes so much sense. I mean, obviously, in the era before streaming, when the only way to rewatch these films in the proper way, I mean, sure, you can catch them on TNT on a random Saturday, but you've got commercials, you've got cut scenes, you've got weird inserted dialogue to take place of swear words. Not so much in this film, per se, but in, this is what happens when you French a stranger in the Alps and all that. It's a Big Lebowski reference. I'll explain it later.
I don't remember lines like that.
Trust me, if you, I'll explain this line later, and you'll be like, "Oh, I remember." But anyways, so
John Goodman say that? Okay.
Instead of "This is what happens when you fuck a stranger in the ass." Yeah.
See, I at least knew John Goodman said it.
Good job.
Dark Knight was nominated for a couple Oscars. Actually, it was nominated for 8 Oscars, and it only won 2, which, I mean, the Academy just does not like superhero movies.
Well, and this was also in a time, especially where, like, superhero movies, obviously this was the same year that Iron Man had come out, so the MCU wasn't even a thing. It was just, there's an Iron Man movie.
Disney didn't even own Marvel
No,
yet.
and it was still Paramount, right?
Yeah, it was a Paramount movie.
Not only are they never going to give a superhero movie a proper Oscar outside of, like, soundtrack and costume design and
sound, editing, special effects. They'll give special effects,
and obviously there's the occasional acting category, which
this one got.
Yeah. And rightfully so when we get to talking about Heath Ledger. But, like, I don't think we're ever going to live in an era where we see, like, Avengers Infinity War win Best Picture. They're never going to do that. And we just have to accept that, because although the Oscars are the most prestigious award in film, Like, it doesn't mean that the movies aren't good because it doesn't get it. You know, this movie was nominated for 8 Oscars, and it won 2, but only one of them was in the major categories. The rest were all the, supplementary ones.
What the Academy Awards is kind of leaning towards doing is giving an award for, like, Best Blockbuster.
Yeah.
Which is, like, their way of being like, we're not going to have The Dark Knight on a Best Film list.
Yeah.
Or Avengers Endgame or anything like that.
So what nominations did The Dark Knight get?
So The Dark Knight's nominations were for Best Performance by an Actor in a Supporting Role by Heath Ledger, Best Achievement in Cinematography.
Okay.
Good old Pfister got a nomination.
Pfister got a nomination.
Best Film Editing, Best Achievement in Art Direction, which they've changed a lot of these for modern Academy Awards to be shorter.
Yeah.
Best Achievement in Makeup, Best Achievement in Sound Mixing, Best Achievement in Sound Editing, which now sound mixing and sound editing have become just sound. And then Best Achievement in Visual Effects, which I'm kind of surprised that they didn't win for visual effects. I don't have the information on who won any of these except for the 2 that The Dark Knight did win, which was Best Achievement in Sound Editing. And then, of course, the one that we all know is Heath Ledger won posthumously for Best Supporting Actor. Yeah. May he rest in peace.
Oh, God. I mean, I miss him all the time. Imagine the incredible films he could have made.
I could just imagine.
Yeah. That would have gotten him into the MCU.
Heath Ledger, to me, seems like what Joaquin Phoenix is now.
Yeah.
I really believe that. Because they
doing,
were
like,
both the
big
same.
films and little films and everything in
between. Big films, little films. Like, I could have seen Heath Ledger going on to do a Joker solo film.
Yeah.
But also just those, like, I could have seen him in Her. I could have seen him in Beau's Afraid. I could have seen him as a...
Oh, imagine, like, just whatever Heath Ledger would have done with A24. Like,
sure. He would have been in A24 by now.
Yeah.
The fact that he died at 28.
Young. Yeah.
Like, he was born before me. He was born in 1979. He's 2 years older than me.
Yeah.
He would have been 2 years older than me. And so the fact that I was 26 when he died, and now I'm almost 44. Yeah, 20. Like you're so young in your 20s. You're so young at 26. You're such a baby.
Or 28.
Even at 28, you're still a baby.
And he had done so much. I mean, you know, his filmography up to that point was so rich with great roles and weird roles, and
I love his filmography. What he was able to accomplish in his 28 years.
I mean, hell, this morning you were watching people watch The Patriot for the first time, and it's a shame that we lost Heath Ledger and Mel Gibson's still around, you know? It's like 10 Things I Hate About You, which is the eternal classic.
Love
fucking A Knight's Tale.
Love
is a flawless film. Four Feathers was fine.
Four Feathers was an okay movie. Yeah. I still enjoyed it. Monsters Ball, he has a small part in, but he's still really good in it.
Weird movie about, like, demons and the Catholics The Order was a good fucking film.
Even with he did a movie, an Australian movie called Ned Kelly.
Ned Kelly with Orlando Bloom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Orlando Bloom, Jeffrey Rush, Naomi Watts. Yeah, another great movie.
Brokeback Mountain. I mean, we can't forget Brokeback Mountain. It is.
He did Lords of Dogtown, which is.
I don't think I ever saw that.
It's an amazing movie about
skaters,
surfers, and skateboarders from Venice, California. The Brothers Grimm was probably the worst movie he ever did.
But Monica Bellucci was in that movie.
Casanova. I'm Not There was fine. I only saw it once, and I wasn't really into that kind of artsy film back in 2007. So
now.
I might go back and watch it again. The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus, which was released a year after he died.
Yeah, which he was filming when he died, which is weird.
Yeah, it's a weird one, and they have different actors play his character.
Yeah, who stepped in
Which I think being there, or not being there, but
I'm Not There
also, I'm Not There also did something
that
similar.
Was I'm Not There was, so it was a Bob Dylan kind of biopic, but not biopic. Like, it was a Bob Dylan based movie, and so essentially it was just it was kind of like an anthology, right? It was a bunch of different stories about Bob Dylan or a Bob Dylan-esque
Another
character.
Christian Bale movie too.
Yeah, and Kate Blanchett. Good God,
Ben Whishaw, Richard Gere.
But it was a movie that like it's an anthology movie, right? It's just little snippets of stories.
Yeah.
But you know him in the it's funny because I'm looking up his IMDb filmography right now, and like all the different ratings of the films that he was in. The Dark Knight is currently at the highest at 9 stars out of 10.
It was an amazing role for him.
It is an amazing role. Fucking The Knight's Tale only at 7. Come on, guys.
I know. Knight's Tale is
such a great fucking movie.
Such a good movie. So Dark Knight stars Christian Bale, Heath Ledger, Aaron Eckhart, Michael Caine, Maggie Gyllenhaal, Gary Oldman, Morgan Freeman, small little cameo from Cillian Murphy, who now this is the third movie we've watched recently with Cillian Murphy.
Yes.
Like, so close together. Oppenheimer, Tron Legacy, and now
So not only is this Nolan Fest, but it's also Cillian Murphy Fest.
And then Nestor Campbell. I couldn't skip over Nestor Campbell. Nestor Carbonell?
Carbonell, yeah. It's Carbonell. Carbonell. Nestor Carbonell, who I know mostly, I mean, he's been a great character actor for a long time, but mostly from Lost.
Yeah.
As Jacob?
No, not as Jacob.
Not as Jacob.
Jacob is the essentially Jesus of Lost.
Yeah.
Nestor plays Richard.
Richard, yes. God, you were good at that. Who is just a stunning man, and who, for the record, does not wear eye makeup. That's just how his eyes actually look.
Yep.
Yeah. Gorgeous man. This movie also has Eric Roberts in a small role, Anthony Michael Hall, which I find very funny.
If you want to, real quick, if you want to watch something, audience out there, if you want to see something newer with Nestor Carbonell in it, he was in the new Shogun series.
Oh, he was?
And he's definitely...
Oh, yeah, he's older.
He's aged.
Yeah.
He's got a beard.
Like a fine wine.
But those eyes tell you everything.
One thing I've got to say about The Dark Knight is it is definitely... Obviously, it's my favorite Joker to live action. Mark Hamill is the best of all the Jokers to ever exist, but in terms of live action stuff, obviously Heath Ledger is the best Joker. I would say it's probably my second favorite Nolan film.
Ooh.
After The Prestige.
Wait, is The Prestige still your favorite?
Honestly, yeah.
Nolan? Wow.
I mean, I often tell people that if I could go back in time and watch a movie again for the first time, it would either be Thor Ragnarok or The Prestige. Just because Thor Ragnarok was because of who I was with and how much fun the theater was having that 7:00 first showing of that fucking movie, and the laughter and the joy and the cheering and everything. Just the joy that came out of seeing that film. For The Prestige, it was just watching that story unfold for the first time. And then when it ended, and you and I just stared at each other in the movie theater with just this, like, complete look of what the fuck just happened. That movie holds a very special place in my heart because of you, because of seeing it for the first time, and just because it's a great fucking film. Also, like, David Bowie as...
David Bowie's great.
Yeah, David Bowie, fucking, so hot.
I would say Dark Knight's probably my third favorite Nolan film.
Well,
behind, I think number one is still Inception.
Mm-hmm.
And number
Inception's
two,
a great movie.
And number two, I love Memento.
Yeah, you do, which I don't, but
it's okay.
It was also probably my favorite. It was my favorite DC film. Obviously, since we've just recently watched The Batman, I can't help but compare The Batman and The Dark Knight because they're the two Batman movies on this list. And it is a little sad that after this we don't have any more Batman movies. I don't know. Like, I think it's very neck and neck, and it might depend on the day. Obviously, up until The Batman, this was my favorite DC movie. It's definitely my second favorite superhero movie of all time. Third? Fifth? I don't know. Wait a minute. That's going to be a tough one.
That's getting into dangerous territory.
That's getting into very dangerous territory.
We could do a whole episode about ranking superhero films.
The long and the short of it is that I have loved The Dark Knight since the second that I saw it. And the way that we went to see this movie was at the Ontario Movie Theater in Ontario, California, the AMC there. Regal?
Either AMC or Edwards.
It was Edwards. And we saw it on the biggest screen imaginable. We had to get there crazy early because this was...
No seat assignments.
No seat assignments, and we wanted good seats. So I think we sat in line for like at least a couple hours, maybe upwards of like 4 hours. Like we just sat in line outside of this theater waiting to get in to the theater to get our seats. And then once we were in our seats, we had to wait another 2 hours until the movie started. And I just remember, and like they had like music playing in the theater, but the screen was black, and everybody was just kind of milling around and waiting, and you're in uncomfortable movie seats, and you're just sort of waiting. And then this movie starts. And this movie, especially in 2008, was a big fucking deal. I mean, the grandeur of this film on the big screen. We had just lost Heath Ledger. We knew it was his, one of his final complete performance. And as this movie played out for the audience, like we were so into it, and the cheering at the same time, the crying at the same time, the joy and the gasp and the laughter and all of that. I just remember that like so vividly. And then we got out of the movie, and I think it was probably a midnight movie. Because it was definitely before the 7 p.m. showings on Thursday night. So it was definitely a midnight movie. So we get out of this movie theater at, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Probably close to that, yeah.
We looked at each other and went, do you want to see it again? And so we bought tickets for a 4 or 4:30 a.m. showing of the movie in the same theater. We went and grabbed some Del Taco, scarfed it down real fast, went back to the theater and watched it again. So we saw this movie twice in the first 8 hours that it had been released. I remember the blurry-eyed coming out of the theater into the hot Southern California sun, blinding us, just being like, oh my God, what did we just see? But that was something that we could do when we were young and didn't have kids. We could spend literally all night awake and in a movie theater watching this movie twice, and it was awesome.
You brought up Heath Ledger's performance as Joker. I mean, we're going to talk about it the entire podcast and how much we like it. But he definitely is my favorite live-action version of the Joker.
Because he's the best.
We got to give our hats off to people like Cesar Romero.
Yeah.
And Jack Nicholson,
of
course. We haven't seen much of Barry Keoghan, and we don't know if we're going to see Barry Keoghan again.
That will be, I mean...
I know they're making a part 2, but I don't know how much the Joker's going to be in it.
Yeah.
And personally, I hope they go on to other Batman villains, because
because how do you, at this point, it's been used.
There's so many different versions of him. It's like, how many more versions of him can we get? I completely left Jared Leto off my list when I wrote writing down.
That happened once.
I just...
We can all collectively agree the worst.
Not even... His name's not even on my paper. But somebody like Cameron Monaghan who played kind of a weird version of the Joker. He was from the Gotham TV show.
Oh, yeah. I remember the look of him.
He did a really good job as somebody who wasn't technically seeming like he would actually become the Joker in the show. But he left an impression on me that made me really enjoy his performance. And then you've got Joaquin Phoenix as well, playing Joker.
I mean, I'm not going to get back into that discourse.
If you want to listen to our discussion about Joaquin Phoenix's
if you want to listen to what I feel about Joaquin Phoenix Joker...
We did an episode.
Feel free to listen to Movie Mingle's episode on the Joker, which I still can't believe is rated higher than this and the Batman, but... Look, it is what it is. And as much as I hate to admit it, and as much as it makes me deeply angry, the Joker Part 2 looks pretty legit.
Trailer was
good.
I'm going to be watching in the theater.
Yeah, it looks like I'm also, unfortunately, going to be watching in the theater, and I'm so angry about it.
Yeah, we're so angry to want to go to the theater and watch a movie.
God damn it.
Why do I have to see it?
Why did the dude that made The Hangover make a movie that looks this fucking good?
We'll see when we see it.
We will see when we see it.
Well, first of all, I really like the way the movie starts. And I'm not talking about the bank robbery. I'm talking about the way it starts with just the light strings going. And then you just hear the flap of bat wings where it's just really slow. Whoosh, whoosh.
Yeah.
And then... then you hear the strings again and a lot of silence in the opening with all the studio logos going up, and then you see the bat fire.
Yeah.
Blue bat fire go towards the camera. That was all just a really neat way to start. Really sets the tone for the whole movie.
Yeah.
Hans Zimmer's score, along with
Hans and John and John. Hans and John.
Hans and John.
Hans and John.
The heist, the bank heist, reminds me of a lot. The way it looks, it reminds me of Michael Mann's Heat.
So that was the inspiration.
I noticed it.
Yeah.
The fact that I noticed the inspiration was fun.
And it's also why William Fichtner is in there. Beloved character actor William Fichtner, who is just incredible at every role he's ever done. Christopher Nolan really gives character actors, he loves a good character actor. And
which is why there's so many in Oppenheimer.
Oh, fucking, it's nothing but them in Oppenheimer. But, you get to see... I feel like watching this movie, you're like, oh yeah, I mean, obviously Michael Caine's in it, but I kind of forgot that Morgan Freeman was in it. Back when Morgan Freeman was in everything.
Well, and he was, because he was in the first one. There was a lot of repeats from Batman Begins.
And I totally understand, especially for the era, but, I wonder now if Lucius Fox wouldn't be played by somebody else. Or, I don't know. Anyways, that's not the point of my conversation. It's just that Christopher Nolan loves a good character actor, and William Fichtner was in Heat, playing essentially the same character, a bank manager that's there to protect the money. And if you haven't seen Heat...
What are you doing?
What are you doing? That movie is a phenomenal film. It is, from beginning to end, it's Michael Mann's, I would say, best movie.
Best film.
It perfectly encapsulates, the 90s in LA. The scenes, although they play, they play against each other. There's the good guy, Al Pacino, and the bad guy, Robert De Niro. And they play the good guy and the bad guy throughout the whole film. The scenes where they get to be together and talk to each other and have conversations
Other than the action scenes, their conversation together is the best part of the movie.
End of the movie, and I'm not going to spoil it for you because honest to God, you need to go watch Heat if you haven't. The end of the film, the last scene between Al Pacino and Robert De Niro is so beautiful that it has tainted how I write or think about villains and heroes for the rest of my life. Them being more like friends and respected acquaintances than, enemies. The Val Kilmer is great in that movie. Everybody's great in that fucking movie. Heat is a genius film.
It's the one thing about The Godfather 2 that's the most disappointing is because if you first hear about Godfather 2 starring Al Pacino and Robert De Niro being in the same movie, and you're like, oh my God, Robert De Niro and Al Pacino get to be in the same movie together, and then you get there and you start watching and you realize that Robert De Niro's character is
the younger version of Al Pacino? Or?
No. He's the younger version of Don Corleone.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen any of them.
Yeah, so they're never going to meet because the younger version doesn't exist in the future.
Yeah.
Don Corleone dies in the
but
first
how
Godfather.
often have we gotten to see Al Pacino and Robert De Niro
rarely
properly act?
There's another movie. I can't remember what it's called, but it's not worth looking up right now. But IMDb will tell you everything about that.
But Heat is. It is worth 2+ hours that it exists. The bank heist scene, which is sort of this central, big showcase of that movie, is so visceral and violent and loud and amazing. And you can see, especially if you watch that movie and then turn around and watch The Dark Knight, you can see where the references and the inspiration comes from. I cannot recommend that film enough. It is a 5-star phenomenal film.
I think one thing that really helps with this opening sequence of the bank heist in The Dark Knight is that this whole sequence was shot with IMAX cameras, as was the sequence with the Batman in Hong Kong, as well as Batman and the Joker chasing each other with the truck and the tumbler and all that stuff. It's one thing I really love about Christopher Nolan films are the scenes that are shot with IMAX cameras.
Especially in the beginning when it was certain scenes that were shot with IMAX and not like Oppenheimer, which I think was entirely IMAX. And don't get me wrong, Oppenheimer is a beautiful movie. It is shot so beautifully and it shows it and you see it, and we talked at length about that. But there was something fun about, like, when you knew which scene was going to be an IMAX scene, you kind of settled in and you're like, here it comes. You know, there was something fun about the anticipation of those big scenes and how well they were done. Again, this was the first film to use an IMAX camera for just a movie, for, you know, a proper, you know, story, not a documentary or anything. And it was fun to, like, settle in and be like, this is when the IMAX starts, you know. I loved the use of music in this movie. I feel like while the score, especially, like, the Batman themes, are big and loud and, like, boom, 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 you know, there are also really beautiful moments in this movie where there's no sound at all. Again, going back to, you know, Christopher Nolan using sound design to set the scene more than music, like he did so beautifully in Interstellar. Like, once we get to the Batmobile chase scene, I will talk at length about that, because that scene doesn't have a lot of music into it, and it's great. But the opening bank heist is just gorgeous. Like, from beginning to end, that is a wonderful scene, and it plays so beautifully into, like, it so beautifully starts this film and lets you know that you're in for a wild ride.
And you also get a sense of who the Joker is by
without even seeing his face,
standing on the street corner holding the mask was a great shot,
especially the mask being based off of Cesar Romero's Joker.
Not seeing his face until he reveals himself. Him planning this whole thing ahead of time and having his goons take each other out, and by the end he just has to shoot one of them.
Yeah.
And then he gets away scot-free through a bus that was in a line of buses.
Yeah.
And how the bus behind him didn't like realize
that the bus driver, like, behind him was like, that bus just came out of a goddamn bank. What is happening here?
And I'd say he was texting while driving, but
or just maybe yelling at the kids over his shoulder and not
like,
paying
and
attention
look
to the
and
fact
just
that
like, oh, there's a bus
there that's covered in debris.
I know Cillian Murphy only has a small part in this movie as Scarecrow,
reprising his role as the Scarecrow.
but because we just watched Oppenheimer, seeing him and his performance in that, and then seeing just, not that he has a bad performance in The Dark Knight, it's just very different.
It is. And
going
he's
from
such a
Oppenheimer
baby.
to Scarecrow.
Well, going from Oppenheimer to Tron Legacy to Scarecrow.
Yeah.
Like, when he was, and Cillian Murphy's not an old man. He's what, in his 40s?
I think so.
Yeah.
Maybe
But there's
50s.
there's something so distinguished about him now, where you kind of take him a little bit more seriously. Not to say you didn't earlier, but there's something about his role in Tron Legacy, and there's something about his role here where he's kind of hamming it up a little bit, versus the, you know, the depth that he put into Oppenheimer, right, and the realism that is put into Oppenheimer. He couldn't have done that for Scarecrow, because that would have been very silly.
It would have been. It's supposed to be a out of this world kind of character, insane, you know, that, and he's even more so in The Dark Knight Rises, when
Which has such a very small part. I
he
don't
has
remember
another
him in
small
The Dark
part.
Knight
Yeah,
Rises.
he's a very small part in that one too, when he's the judge and when he's judging
Oh,
all
yeah,
the
yeah,
people.
yeah. I didn't see Batman Begins in theater, because I think by the time that it came out, it was well before I'd known Caveman, and I was like, fucking another Batman movie, like, wah, wah. Like, just, no, the last one was shit, like, fool me once, right? And so I never saw it. I heard good things,
Good
but I
old
never
Batman
saw
and
it
Robin.
in theater. 2005 was a weird time for me. You know, and then I met Caveman, and he was like, what do you mean you haven't seen Batman Begins? We have to watch it together. So I watched it with him, and I loved it, because it is a great film. Then The Dark Knight comes around and literally just destroys all superhero movies, and is the best thing until, you know, Into the Spider-Verse. Let's be real honest, like, up until Into the Spider-Verse, I don't think I ever would have ranked another superhero movie above The Dark Knight, because although as great as all of them are, they're not The Dark Knight, right? And then I saw Into the Spider-Verse, and I was like, what the fuck have I been thinking? Like, this is...
Winter Soldier
is...
Let's talk about another movie that kind of
I
looks like Heat.
enjoyed Winter Soldier when I first saw it in theater, but I have learned to love Winter Soldier more in my more recent years of deep Bucky Barnes obsession. But still, it like The Dark Knight was the pinnacle of all.
Is,
so
yeah,
you can't
for sure.
say that The Winter Soldier is a better film than The Dark Knight. Equal.
I'll give them equal.
But not better. And then fucking Into the Spider-Verse came along, and Nicolas Cage's Spider-Man Noir took my heart, and everything was made better. And then The Dark Knight Rises came along. And unfortunately, I had seen on my phone like right before the movie started, I got a little buzz on my phone and I looked at it, and it was reports about what happened in Aurora, Colorado. And that sort of tainted the movie for me because I was all of a sudden very aware of this horrific tragedy that took place, you know, right before I was going in to see this movie. And then I saw the movie and was like, okay, it's the weakest of the three. And I haven't gone back to rewatch it a lot. Bane is a ridiculous cartoon character. And I get that it's a comic book movie, but he's a ridiculous cartoon character.
He's not as bad as the Bane from Batman and Robin.
No, he's not, but I don't even associate those two as the same character. Like,
no, they aren't.
The Bane from Batman and Robin is just a goon versus...
I'm
Batman. You know, like, I couldn't do it.
I was born in the darkness.
And you were just... Yeah. Like, I associate Bane these days more with Kevin Smith on Hollywood Babylon doing his impression of Bane than anything. Catwoman was fine, and then, I don't know, the whole movie was just okay at best. I really felt like, even without knowing, going into that movie and knowing what had happened in Colorado, the film is fairly a weak way to wrap up this whole series. And it's not a film that I've ever felt the need to revisit a whole lot in my life, you know, since. I'm not going to sit down and watch it anytime soon.
One of the things we've pointed out in the past is how through this Nolan trilogy of Batman films, Gotham changes every time.
Every time Gotham changes.
It looks like a completely different city every movie.
It drives me crazy, but this is the pinnacle Gotham. I love this Chicago-based Gotham. It's so beautiful.
The only Gotham I like better than this one is I love Tim Burton's Gotham.
In the first one?
In the first one.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful Gotham.
It really is.
That gothic look.
I love the Batman Gotham. I think that...
Well, the Batman Gotham took from Tim Burton's.
Yeah,
It mixes a
lot of styles, and they kind of made their own thing. Like, they filmed in England, but they didn't rely solely on a pre-established city to be Gotham City. They made it their own.
Yeah.
And I
Which
really
Gotham
hope it stays
should not
that way.
look like another city.
No, it shouldn't.
That exists in our world.
Also, another point that I have about Gotham City is what a stupidly designed city. Because in almost every Batman movie, when there's a threat against Gotham, all of a sudden there's bridges that have to be manhandled. There's seawalls that are coming down. There's all this insanity, like there's all this crazy shit. This would never happen in like St. Louis. This wouldn't even happen in Seattle. I mean, Seattle has a couple major bridges going in and out of it, but still, like, it's just such a stupidly designed city. There are so many fragile points of Gotham that can be exploited. Which maybe is the point. And
they do almost every movie.
Every time.
This one, the next one.
It's like, who didn't think to just...
The Batman. Like,
yeah.
Three Batman movies in a row.
This wouldn't fly in L.A. where everything's, mostly flat. And there are no bridges in and out of the city.
But if you try to escape the city at the same time, you're going to run into so many other people on those freeways.
Well, yeah, I mean, because every city is gridlock going in and out. But still, I'm just saying it's a very silly designed city.
Yeah, when your only option is tunnels, bridges, and ferries, it's like, do I want to live here in case of emergency?
One thing that I'm very fascinated about in the scene with Cillian Murphy is the people that are pretending to be Batman, right? The fake Batman that think that just because you got one masked vigilante running around means that he needs help and they should go and do it too, right? What's the difference between you and me? I'm not wearing hockey pads. Do you think that if Batman were real, that people actually would go out and do that? Do you think that would be something that, like, misguided heroes
try to help him?
Yeah, or like dress up like him and also try to fight crime?
I mean, the fact that I think it goes to show you how hard this kind of job really would be, since nobody in the real world has ever tried it. You think at least one person would be like, I'm going to try it.
Oh, no, Seattle had a caped crusader for a while that ended up doing kind of more harm than good, I think. I'm not going to go deep dive into his story, but...
Never heard of this.
Yeah, Seattle had a superhero for a while that didn't go well.
The one movie that really shows you how bad of an idea... Or actually, there's a couple movies that show you how really bad idea being a superhero could be if you want to do that. Kick-Ass and James Gunn's Super both show you maybe this is not, in reality, a terrible idea to be a mass vigilante unless you're just going around shooting bad guys. But when Batman is hanging off the side of the van and trying to break into it while Scarecrow's driving it.
Yeah.
I always laugh because Batman's got his mouth open and he's showing all his teeth.
Yeah.
As he's trying to tear the
And he
side
looks
of the
like
van.
the mouth of Sauron.
That, but also, how could you not tell that this is a rich guy? Those teeth look like they belong to a billionaire. They are so
teeth.
white and so big, and they are like reflecting light off of them. They are so bright. Only a billionaire would have teeth like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, luckily, I guess nobody saw him up close in that moment. It does kind of go back to show you, though, that, like, how do you not recognize the bottom of somebody's chin? I will say that we talked about it at length in the Batman episode, but, you know, about who looks best in the cowl. But I will say that this is probably my least favorite cowl of all of them. I don't like the way, obviously, it's meant to be more of a helmet than a cowl because the rest of the Batman couldn't turn their necks. They had to turn their whole bodies. But there's something about the way it hugs his chin that I just don't like. And I was noticing that while watching this.
It looks a little odd.
It looks a little odd. It's not my favorite bat suit.
No.
And I realize that going into this movie with a critical eye is a lot different than going into it with just to enjoy it. You know, it's different watching this movie on just any other day and then sitting down to watch this movie to podcast about it. So I was a lot more critical about it, but it's definitely one of my lesser favorite Batman costumes. It's not as bad as the nipples on George Clooney, but it's not great. Like, the suit itself looks fine, but I have a lot of issues with the cowl and
I think
hood.
the best suit looks definitely belong to Robert Pattinson and also Michael Keaton. I think their suits, even though Michael Keaton had to turn his whole body to look anywhere,
but it looked
such
good.
a classic looking suit and that yellow bat symbol. And also nothing will ever beat Michael Keaton's Batmobile, the best Batmobile.
It is the best Batmobile.
For live action. Because I think the best
The
Batmobile,
Tumbler is so unnecessary.
I think the best Batmobile in general is from the animated series.
I will say, though, that getting Christian Bale to play Batman is a genius move. I mean, Christian Bale's an incredible actor. He's so intense. He's so into his roles, right? I love that Christopher Nolan and Christian Bale went, yeah, we'll make a Batman trilogy. You know, and obviously this was well before superhero fatigue was a thing. I don't think that either one of them would do it now, and I'm glad that we got what we got out of them. But the casting choice was brilliant. Getting fucking Gary Oldman to play Gordon is genius.
Especially because before the Batman trilogy, before Nolan's Batman trilogy, Gary Oldman was always the villain.
Oh, yeah.
And having him in here just finally gave me like, oh, wow, Gary Oldman can do good guy?
Yeah.
And he does such a
good
guy.
Good guy.
Oh, he's so great.
And, like, even with that dorky little mustache and the glasses, he's so hot.
He's just like a dad, and you're just like, man.
Yeah, like, I just love it.
So friendly, and, like, when he first takes Bruce in, when he was still just a beat cop, and, I love Gary Oldman. In general, but he's a phenomenal great Gordon.
And, of course, you know, Michael Caine. Like, well, who else would you pick to be Alfred back then? Like, there's nobody else. I guess, well, no, Jeremy Irons was Alfred eventually. One thing I will say is that Eric Roberts was not nearly as good in his role as Maroni as John Turturro. Like, that's the same character.
Yeah.
And Eric Roberts really chews the scenery in a very Eric Roberts sort of way, whereas John Turturro feels lived in and real. But, you know, they're both Maronis, and John Turturro just does the better job across the board. I had almost kind of forgotten that Eric Roberts was Maroni until I watched it.
The Italian, as he's called.
Yeah, the Italian. And I get that Maroni has had a long-standing history in Batman. It is a very long...
So is Falcone, but we don't get Falcone in this one.
No.
He was in Batman Begins.
Played by...
Oh, I can see his face right now.
Yeah, we were just watching him in The Patriot.
Watching him in The Patriot. And I was Tom
Wilkinson.
Ah, see? Boom. Off the top of our heads. We can do it.
High five.
That's why we have a movie podcast.
But, yeah, like, the casting in this movie is great, and I just adore Gary Oldman to my heart. And then we've got Rachel, which...
Rachel!
Is a thing. I don't know. I didn't like her in Batman Begins. I don't like
I don't like Katie Holmes.
No.
But I like Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Yeah. Maggie Gyllenhaal is best in the little Will Ferrell movie Stranger Than Fiction. She's so fucking good in that movie. And that is one of my favorite films. Even though Maggie Gyllenhaal is a phenomenal actress, I don't like the character of Rachel.
The character of Rachel
is Rachel Dawes a character from the comic books, or is that a Nolan only thing?
I think that's a Nolan.
Because, like, why does Batman need a love interest?
He was always, his big love interests were between Catwoman and Ra's al Ghul's daughter.
Yeah, Talia. So along comes Rachel, which first, Katie Holmes.
Rachel!
Cool. And then... Like, I didn't need the love triangle with her and Two-Face and Batman. I didn't need her dying and causing him grief for years and years. Like, I don't know. I was just, even when watching it today, I liked her character outside of Batman. I didn't think that she needed to be connected to Bruce Wayne in any way. I don't think that we need to see Bruce Wayne humanized outside of Alfred, right? Like, some of the more, not boring, but some of the duller things about Batman is Bruce Wayne. Yeah.
Like, and having Bruce Wayne have to go through this whole, and I get, because he is a human, he still is a human with emotions, he's not just Batman. He does have feelings.
Yeah.
And I get trying to find the more humanity side of this mass vigilante who dresses up as a bat at night to fight crime.
Yeah.
But he's a mass vigilante who dresses up as a bat to fight crime. Yeah,
that's what we want to see.
Like,
we don't need to... Like, I wrote down that Christian Bale is a better Bruce Wayne than Robert Pattinson, but I think Robert Pattinson was the better Batman.
Robert Pattinson was also not the billionaire playboy yet.
It's
he
a
was
different
like a
Bruce
recluse
Wayne.
that didn't want to be in...
He hadn't learned, like I'd pointed out in the Batman one, he hadn't learned the use of the Bruce Wayne persona.
Right, because Batman is who he really is, and Bruce Wayne is the persona.
But if you think about it, though, this movie shows us Christian Bale playing 3 different versions of the same character. It's the real version with Alfred and Rachel. It's the Bruce Wayne caricature, and it's the Batman, right? And... Again, as much as it's nice to kind of get through the defenses and see the inner workings of his brain and get to see him be more human, those are the scenes meant for Alfred. I don't need Rachel to be there. I don't. Like, she could have still been the love interest and the loss for Harvey Dent, but it didn't then need to be the loss for Batman as well. Like, I don't know. Like, and then that whole time where he's like, she's gonna wait for me. She's gonna choose me. We're gonna run off together. It's like, homegirl, you think you can leave this behind? It's not that fucking easy. Like, Rachel was a dream of when you were a teenager, not now. Right? And I guess I didn't find that particular weakness of Bruce Wayne's to be at all necessary. It was just fodder. It was just... it was almost as unnecessary as the whole sequence with the guy Reese who was trying to find, or who found out who, Batman's true identity was. But I enjoyed that scene and all of those scenes because they were fun. Whereas all the Rachel Batman stuff was just sort of like, ugh. And also, how did they survive the fall off that fucking building?
I've never understood that because they seem to be falling like straight up free fall.
Yeah.
And I get that his cape might have been doing like like the way helicopters when their engine goes out and the propeller adds as a way of slowing it down as it goes. I'm guessing it's based off of those kind of physics, but they look like he hits that car hard.
Yeah, that
and
they just kind of
get up and they're like, oh, thanks for saving me.
Yeah, like
nothing happened.
Broken rib on her part. I know that he took the brunt of the fall, but still,
he's in a good suit. Really good suit.
Good job, Lucius.
Yeah. One way that they are tracking the money from the mob is by radiating the bills, and it just made me laugh because I'm like, oh, thanks a lot, Oppenheimer.
Yeah, right.
Not that he created radiation, but it's still, after just watching Oppenheimer and then going into this, it's like, oh, Oppenheimer.
Actually, it's kind of funny. I was at work the other day, and I saw a box of bell peppers, and the farm that they came from was the Oppenheimer farm. And it just made me giggle because I was like, is that really the best thing to name?
Do I really want to eat food from Oppenheimer?
Yeah, like,
what's
maybe,
this spin around?
Like, you guys should have named it something else.
Should we test this food
What
first?
a choice. Especially for, like, something organic and groovy.
But yeah, one of the best first jokes of the movie is the magic trick.
What a delight.
Oh.
How about a magic trick? I'm gonna make this pencil disappear. Ta-da! It's gone.
I also love the line delivery when he was like, the television wants you to think. How he refers to the guy on the TV as just the television. Further proof that, Heath Ledger just killed it in this role. That was also the first time some of the people had even met him, in real life, was on that scene. And just what a scene to meet an actor, right? Coming in as the Joker, murdering a henchman with a fucking pencil through the eyeball, and just killing it across the board. He's so good.
Did you know that there's another superhero hidden in this movie?
I did not.
Well, the actor who plays Gamble, one of the mobsters at that table, the one that later gets killed by the Joker when he talks about these scars, and then cuts his face or his throat or something like that. It's played by Michael J. White, who was Spawn.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love Spawn.
I don't.
John Leguizamo.
As that
so
big
creepy.
fat clown.
Yeah.
I don't know. Spawn was one of those movies that, because when it came out and how old I was, I saw it as a young age and it terrified me. And so just ever since then I went, meh. I do appreciate Todd McFarlane for what he does and all the incredible things that he has created, but it's not my cup of tea.
I should say anti-hero more than superhero.
Yeah.
But still.
Spawn's a DC or a Marvel character?
I wanted to say DC, but then I was like, no, wait, maybe it's Marvel. Another thing that made me laugh this time when I was, like you said, the more you watch it, the more little nitpicky you look at the other scenes.
Especially in this capacity.
I want to know who designs. Is it Lucius Fox or is it Bruce Wayne that designs all the little foam cutouts for all the tools?
It's Lucius,
somebody's
for
got
sure.
to sit there and cut these perfect cutouts for each.
Like each batarang.
Each little batarang,
little
each tool, everything has its place. Every smoke bomb, and he's got them everywhere too, in suitcases and down in his new lair since
Wayne Manor has
been destroyed. Yeah, maybe.
Lucius Fox, I understand the reasoning of the character. Of course, it's like, here's all the things that Lucius Fox creates for the Bats, and I love that. But I don't know. It always seems like including him makes it feel like Batman is less about Bruce doing his own thing and more about the people helping them. In this movie especially, like, all of Batman's great, detective achievements are because Alfred and Lucius help him. And that was also the case a little bit in the Batman. I mean, Alfred was there to help him decipher a lot of the codes and things, but Bats was so there kind of figuring out on his own, where this, especially with the thumbprint on the bullet, very much seemed like Lucius's discovery more than Bruce's.
Even Ben Affleck's Batman's
Alfred
does a lot of the technical side. We haven't seen a Batman that just works on his own.
We haven't. No, not the
for
way
a while.
that the animated series Batman did.
Animated series, he seems to do a lot himself. Michael Keaton's version seems to do a lot of it himself.
Yeah, his Alfred was ancient.
His Alfred's a little bit older and does more butlering than anything else. Something else that I noticed was when he absconds with the Russian ballet and he's on that big yacht and the plane's landing.
Yeah.
That whole scene reminded me of a couple movies that just really stuck out to me. First of all, just Christian Bale in general, I can never get out of my head American Psycho.
Yeah.
He is that character always, and even so, every time he smiles, it gives me the creeps.
Yeah.
And even though he's Bruce Wayne, he's supposed to be a hero, he's just always just American Psycho character that I'm just like, oh, run away. But then also with all the money and the way the yacht and everything, it also reminds me of Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah.
It's just that overabundance of money and ships and absconding with the Russian ballet.
What I found funny about that part is the fact that Alfred is annoyed that he has to put sunblock on this hot young body, this hot young woman, and he's just like, ugh, again. It's like, Alfred, girl, is that not your type? That's fine if it's not, but really, you're not into that? Okay. So the Hong Kong heist is just an incredible sequence. It's really neat to see Batman outside of Gotham And outside of America, because I think up until this point, we haven't seen a whole lot of, like, international Batman.
Yeah, other than the cartoons or comics.
I mean, definitely like the Justice League cartoon. He was bouncing around all over the place.
He goes to space a lot, different planets.
He really does, yeah.
But, yeah, in live action, he generally stays in Gotham.
Because what reason is there to send Batman out of the country other than to kidnap a Chinese nationalist who is hiding money for the mob?
I guess Batfleck did a lot of roaming around when he was trying to bring the team together when they went to Russia to fight Steppenwolf.
But we don't talk about that movie. That movie is such a piece of shit. This was the first time we really got to see like Batman, like international bats, and I think that's a beautiful sequence. One of the things that I love about this film especially is all the images of Batman standing on large buildings that are real. You know, this is not CG, this is not a stunt double, it is fucking Christian Bale up there on a ledge, you know.
Shot with an IMAX camera, tethered probably within an inch of his life. He couldn't go anywhere. But there's some really cool photos on the internet showing him just like standing on the ledges of these very tall buildings, something I could never do because I'm terrified of heights. But they make for great shots.
Oh, they make for great shots. And there's always, you know, it's always this sweeping helicopter shot. The music's on point. Like, Nolan fucking knows what he's doing with these particular scenes. Another thing I like about the Hong Kong heist is the sky hook, which is essentially reverse parachuting.
I love how on the nose that name for that technique is. It's sky hook. You're in the sky real. With a hook.
They did it for the first time in 1958, I read, which is nuts. That's an actual thing.
I like to believe that he took some of the things that he did in The Dark Knight. One of the best parts about The Dark Knight Rises is the opening sequence of them capturing the plane and then taking its tail off, and then the wings fall off, and then it's just essentially this tube that's floating in the sky. And that whole thing was done for real in the sky.
Yeah.
And which is insane. And
it really is bonkers.
But beautiful, again, and really fun to watch and look at.
Nolan can put together a pretty decent montage and a really decent action scene.
He can. Sometimes his action scenes are a little wanting. The editing sometimes can be a little... Like this watch through of The Dark Knight, I really got a little more critical of the editing, especially during the scene where they're trying to save Harvey Dent from, or capture the Joker while they're chasing Harvey
the big car
Dent.
chase.
There's a few moments of editing where I'm like, oh, I wish they had stayed on that a little longer instead of cutting to a different angle.
Yeah.
Would have been, and you never know during shoots what they may have had to cut away because the shot maybe looked worse.
Or there's a dolly in screen or something.
Something like that. Yeah. But yeah, that was it's gotten to the point now because I've seen it so much. I'm starting to nitpick more, and the editing and some of his, especially his action. He doesn't do a lot of action.
No, he doesn't.
Batman and Inception, especially the snow scenes in Inception, are like the most actiony moments I've seen from Nolan. He generally doesn't. He's does drama.
You want to hear something kind of insane?
What's that?
The Dark Knight is Nolan's only linear film. It's the only movie of his that starts
Batman Begins and Dark
ends.
Knight Rises both go back and forth, and so does every other movie.
So does every other movie that he makes.
It's just a straightforward story.
It is a straight line.
And he's just like, well, that was fun, but I don't want to do that again.
Yeah, he's like, that was too easy. Let's really fuck it up. Tenet. Ba-ba-bum.
Tenet. You still haven't seen Dunkirk, and Dunkirk for some reason is not on this list.
I feel like people have always kind of like not shit on Dunkirk, but they're always just like, it exists. I don't know, isn't it like it's a shorter film, right?
It's shorter and the story is very straightforward, but it still messes with time. And you're unsure when the people on the boats are coming to. It's a whole thing, and I won't give anything away.
Always wanted to watch it
one day. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. It's another movie where
Tom Hardy's
got a mask on for the majority of the film.
Well, he's cover that face up. I don't know. God, that new Venom movie looks like garbage.
Venom.
So we get a jump scare scene in this movie, which is somewhat unlike Nolan to do, where the body of one of the fake Batman slams
Gets me
against.
almost every time.
Yeah. Almost every time. It slams against the window of the mayor's office.
I get so settled into the moment and the conversation that I just forget that there's about to be a body slamming up against the window.
Yeah, but I think it's one of those scenes that just goes to show that, like, news exposition is ridiculous, because first of all, in these Batman movies, especially this one and the Batman, the news shows off so much more of these videos made by these criminals than I think they actually would show. Like, I don't think that, even though they're like, we're warning you, this footage is graphic, there's no way the actual news is going to show, like, the way that the Joker tortures that man, or the way that the Riddler tortures, that cop. It's a little ridiculous. And, of course, everybody happens to be watching the news at the exact same time. Like, that's not when, Bruce Wayne's favorite British sitcom, Keeping Up Appearances, is on, and so he's watching a different channel. He's always got it turned to the news. Of course, he's, Batman, so he's always got it turned to the news. But I'm just saying, like, news exposition in movies cracks me up, because it's always just so much more than actual news stations show in real life, and it makes me giggle.
The one moment during that same scene with the body, or the news, when I got the recording on for the news station, the moment that I mean he's a force to be reckoned with. Joker is an absolute force, especially the magic trick scene was pretty crazy, but it's when he yells, "Look at me!"
Look at me.
It just so jarring and
visceral,
startling,
yeah.
And especially coming from somebody like Heath Ledger, who has always played a good guy, or a guy, you always see him. I don't know. It's a whole nother kind of character, and really scary moment.
Yeah, it is a very scary moment. Do you know who the Batman Senator is?
The Batman Senator.
Yes. The Batman Senator is a man named Patrick Leahy. He is the senator for Vermont. He was born in 1940. And he's had 5 different filmed cameos in Batman movies over the years, and voiced a character in one of the episodes of Batman the Animated Series. He has served as a United States Senator from Vermont since 1975. And has more seniority than any other senator. Now, I didn't go in to look into what this guy's political beliefs are, whether or not he's Republican or Democrat. I kind of don't care, because I just find this fascinating in terms of the Batman thing. He is a longtime Batman fan, and he's the guy in the party when the Joker crashes Bruce Wayne's party that says, "We're not intimidated by thugs." To which the Joker replies, "You remind me of my father. I hated my father."
Yeah.
He has also shown up in Batman Forever, Batman the Animated Series, Batman and Robin, The Dark Knight Rises, and Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice. So he's also written forewords for several DC anthologies and introductions for several comic books as well. So he's a big DC fan. A lot of the all of the money, actually, that he gets from his appearances and his cameos and anything that's Batman related, he donates to charities.
Wow.
Including the library in his town where he discovered comic books, which I think is kind of cute and really lovely. But yeah, everybody knows that scene very well, and I think it's funny that, like, that dude's a member of the Senate, and he's just a big fucking Batman fan, which goes to show that there are nerds everywhere.
This came up while we were watching it. I asked you, where do you think the Joker and his thugs got the DNA from? They got the DA, Harvey. Mm-hmm. They got Harvey's and the judges and the commissioner's DNA from somewhere. There's a lot of things that his thugs can get in and out of really easily.
Yeah,
they were able to cover an entire hospital with explosives without anybody noticing.
Yeah.
They were able to put drums and drums of explosives or oil or gasoline or whatever it was
onto 2 ferries.
In 2 ferries, which I know how much.
We're aware of what
state ferries are
like the security on state ferries. It's not the heaviest, but it's also not laxed.
No, to be able to
especially get into the engine room,
drums in the engine room.
You know what? It is one of those things that's never explained that you just sort of have to take on faith. But it's almost like as soon as you become a public servant in Gotham, they take your DNA and your fingerprints, which I guess would make sense. And then maybe the police department would have access of it. It kind of inferred that the commissioner, maybe they got it from the commissioner from his glass of whiskey, right? Because they could have picked up one of his glasses, and that's how they got his DNA.
But still, they're getting into that room.
Yeah, no idea how they got the judge's stuff. I don't even know how he managed to slip the card into the judge's file when she's on the bench during a case. Like, there is a lot of things that are not supernatural, but definitely, the more you think about it, the more disbelief you have to suspend. Where it's just like, you're right, how did they fill those ships? And how did they know that are those the only 2 ferries in Gotham that they filled with a bunch of gasoline? Who built these contraptions? Did the Joker build them all? Does he have a mad bomb-making friend?
Also, how did he know that they were going to put prisoners on one ship and normal citizens on another ship?
He knew that because he said something about the bridge and tunnel crowd are in for a surprise. I think
he knew they would take the ferries. Yeah. That's the only way they could get off the island. But
why did he?
But it wasn't until Commissioner. He was Commissioner Gordon by then. How did he? Because it wasn't until the last minute that Commissioner Gordon said, "We need the prisoners off this island," and that was a decision that he kind of made himself.
Well, I don't know.
Unless the Joker's always just 3 steps ahead of everybody, and it was just that smart.
He doesn't seem that smart, though, because he always talks about... He tells Dent when they're in the hospital together
Do I look like a guy who has a plan?
Yeah, he doesn't have plans. He's an agent of chaos. He just bounces around things. But you're right, he's pretty well set up and well connected. And I get that he has taken on a lot of the mob's, henchmen.
And inside people.
Goons and whatnot.
You could say that he has people working in the hospital and the ferries and the prison system and all that, but it seems like there were always steps taken that were so far ahead of everybody else, which then leads to a plan.
Yeah, I mean, I get that that he was able to fill a couple buildings across town with a bunch of gasoline, drums of gasoline, and, trap some people in that. Okay, I understand that, but you're right. I never really thought about how he's able to rig those ferries. Unless it's just a long con that we don't see. I don't know. Maybe it would have been nice to see scenes of people sneaking out in the dead of night and, a guard, the security guard at the ferry docks, being one of the Joker's henchmen. Or maybe he was one of the mob henchmen and now he's a Joker henchman because, that's where the money is. I don't know. It is very silly and I've never thought about it that way. It's almost funny, watching this movie with a more critical eye has almost made my rating for it go down a little bit.
A little bit, but not so much.
Too much, no.
Because it's still a great movie.
Yeah, I'm not going to be it's only a 2-star. Of course not. This movie is phenomenal, but it is kind of funny that way. One thing that I don't understand is if a madman in makeup is running around murdering people, has just killed a city judge and the police commissioner, why would you have such a public funeral for him? Is that just tradition in Gotham that when a higher-up policeman dies, they have to go through the whole pageantry of a parade and something down city streets, knowing full well, mind you, that, the mayor is the next target? Why would you still have a big stage in the middle of a public square on a public street?
You'd almost do what they did in The Batman, where they just have it in a private cathedral and not make it such a big
it was a pretty big spectacle, but still, at least it was inside, right? This is literally just a giant, barrel full of fish that you're shooting at. It makes no sense that for the safety of the public and your politicians and your, citizens that are out there protecting the city, it makes no sense that you would have a giant public funeral. Also, a funeral like that takes some rehearsing. That's not a next day thing. That's a week later, and they've had to close that street down for several days so that everybody can learn how to walk in, uniform, unless it happens so often in Gotham that they just know what to do. But it seems ridiculous that they'd have a large public forum or a large public funeral for the commissioner in this time of heightened security risks. It's very goofy. But it did give us Dave DeSmulchin's film debut. And I even wrote down, I'm pretty sure this is the first time I remember seeing Dave DeSmulchin.
I think it was. We didn't know about him. He wasn't in anything. This was his first movie. It's his second gig. The first gig was an episode of Early Edition. And if anybody...
Oh, man. Do you remember Early Edition?
With Kyle Chandler.
Oh.
Yeah.
I wonder if I would ever rewatch that.
Season 4, episode 21 from May 20th, 2000. So it was all the way back in 2000. And then he didn't get another gig for another 8 years.
Wow. I wonder what he did in that time. Just kept going.
Probably just did stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, actors probably, watch La La Land. That's what they did. Audition, do other things, have a different outlet for your art side. Maybe he did theater. Maybe he did, maybe he got another job and then finally got this bit part on a superhero movie.
Yeah, but he holds his own in scenes with both Heath Ledger and Aaron Eckhart. I mean, more importantly with Aaron Eckhart. I gotta say, one thing about Aaron Eckhart, he sure was a thing for a minute. Aaron Eckhart's made a lot of weird little movies.
He has. My favorite Aaron Eckhart movie is one called Thank You for Smoking.
Yeah, that's actually what got him the role.
That makes sense. Yeah. I love that movie. Listeners, watch Thank You for Smoking.
Oh yeah, he was in Frasier. Aaron Eckhart was great as a small run in Frasier towards the end of the series, where he plays like the boyfriend that's in the way of, Frasier's dream girl. But my favorite movie with him is called Possession. It's from 2002. It is a movie about these like two British Victorian writers. One's a writer and one's a poet, and the woman in the couple is like a lesbian and the guy is like a married philanderer, and they fall in love and nobody knows about this until, in the modern days, Gwyneth Paltrow with a terrible British accent and Aaron Eckhart play these, who was just, Aaron Eckhart, play these like two like young college professors that uncover this secret. It's a very kind of hackney movie. It's silly, it's romantic, it's beautiful, it's goofy, it's kind of dumb, but I love it. It's romance and it's really, really beautiful. And the main actors that play the old-timey writers are Jennifer Ely, who everybody would know from the Pride and Prejudice from the BBC, and Jeremy Northern, who is just so fucking handsome. And it's just a really cute, dumb little movie, but that's my favorite. I like it. Alfred's speech about his time in Burma is one of the first times we ever get to see an Alfred that isn't just a butler. It's kind of proof that Alfred is more of not a double agent, but a British, secret agent.
He was with
at
the
one
British,
time. MI6?
No.
MI5?
No, it was like the British Army, but like the Rangers or Navy SEALs version of, I think. It was like at least later on. I don't obviously when the beginnings of Alfred was always a butler.
Yeah.
And then he became the guy who was tinkering with the bat stuff, and then he became the guy who trained Batman. Yeah. Which is nice. It's nice to give, like we've talked about in previous podcasts, the Alfred of like the Burton movies that then became the Alfred of all of the Batman movies pre-Batman Begins, he was really just the butler, right? Yeah. He was barely even the surrogate father. He was just the butler. Whereas at least now they've given Alfred some agency of who he is and what his past is, and maybe why he is, why Batman has become who he is, because Alfred was there to help him. Hey, Robin. We're talking about Batman, and you're named for a Batman character. But not in this movie. When Gordon gets shot. I was just thinking about the Gordon, fake out. I remember watching that in the theater and being like, oh my God, are they seriously killing off Gordon before he even becomes commissioner? Yeah. This is insane. Who does Nolan think he is? I remember there was a distinct moment in the theater when that happened that everybody was like, what the fuck?
I find it kind of silly now.
But then, like the amount of cheering as soon as you see
when he
Gordon
rips his helmet off, the whole place was just like, fucking yeah! Although, unfortunately, that does bring me to the guy in the car with Gordon during that chase sequence, who's like the comic relief.
He is so annoying.
He's so annoying. It's so unnecessary.
Lower Fifth, we're gonna be turkeys on Thanksgiving down there.
Oh man, you gotta go faster. We're sitting ducks. Oh,
Every comment. It's like Paul.
It's like Paul Rudd in Civil War. Yeah, it's just every line, every single line is a quip, and it's unnecessary.
So unnecessary.
It's especially unnecessary for a Nolan film. Like, he's not the type to put in a character that needs to be like, the audience reaction, or, like, there's no reason for that particular guy to be in that car making all of those comments. It is unnecessary, especially because, you know what, and we should...
You know what it probably is?
What?
It's an excuse to show the driver in that vehicle. Like, it'd be weird if the camera just keeps pointing to the random driver and nobody's in the cab saying anything. They could have had different lines. They didn't have to be so cheesy.
Yeah, they could
have picked a different type of
different
character.
Actor, a different line delivery.
It was the deliveries too.
Because it's all bad. It's one of those few scenes in
if
this
it was
movie
something
that's
that was a little more serious, like things that two cops would say to each other, instead of the things that were coming out of his mouth, then it would have made more sense. But you need a reason to know that there's a guy driving who was masked.
Yeah.
You didn't see. In the moment, you're like, he's unimportant. It's the guy who's making all the noise who's more important.
Yeah,
in the scene.
well, that's just it. That's the distraction.
You needed a reaction for the people who were hauling Dent. You needed, I guess, some kind of reaction.
Yeah.
For the drivers of that vehicle, later reveal where where Gordon was the whole time. But like you said, it could have been different lines read by a different actor with different deliveries, and it may have...
It was too much.
It needed to be more grounded.
It was too much in the theater. It's still too much. It's like, if any more, the more I watch it, that scene...
It's pretty cheesy.
As beautiful as that scene is, that's the one kind of bad part about it. One thing that I noticed, though, when it comes to that chase sequence, was that there's very little music in it. In fact, you don't even hear any theme or score until the Bat Pod... or the Bat Bike pops out of the Batmobile. That's when the music starts in for like a minute, and then it goes back to just being the noise of the cars, the noise of the guns, and everything. And I enjoy Nolan's want and his use of just simple sound and everyday sound instead of, putting in a soundtrack. It's the same thing for the sequence when they're going through the wormhole in Interstellar, and you just hear the shaking of the ship, right, and the bumping, or in the the bomb sequence in Oppenheimer, when you just hear Oppenheimer's breath. And I think that's a really beautiful use of knowing when to add in music and when to not to add in music, which I think lesser directors would just fill with music.
Well, and then you have music while he's on the Bat Pod, but then it ends again as soon as the truck flips.
Oh, the truck flipping is so every single time. Even today, that part takes my breath away.
And it just...
Oh, it's fucking cool. And then I love the sound of the Bat Bike, that it goes up and then goes like a noise. And it's so fucking cool. So now, in the Batman, I said that the Batmobile car chase in the Batman might be my favorite Batmobile car chase ever. And you said, even the scene in the Dark Knight with the truck, and I was like, well, we'll see. I hold up to my standard. I still think that the Batmobile Penguin chase is the better film. It's the better sequence, because as awesome as it is seeing that truck flip, and it is so fucking cool, and it is a very entertaining sequence. And because I even talked about how much I enjoyed the lack of music in it, I still prefer the music in the Pattinson version. I love the rain. I love that it's just a souped up muscle car against, whatever the Penguin was driving. Yeah, a Maserati. Okay, of course you would know that. You dork, I love you. Whereas the Tumbler is just this massive army machine, right? It's a fucking tank. Pattinson's Batmobile is more you know, it's an old Mustang or something, or
it's just a
Camaro,
car that
yeah.
I think he probably had a basic frame for, and
yeah,
just
just a little
made it
muscle
his
car.
own.
Yeah, and like I just still think, it's the better scene. It's not untoward for me to say that the Dark Knight Batmobile sequence is my second favorite Batmobile sequence ever, but I still think that the one from the Batman is better. It's more stunning, and it's so beautiful.
After the truck flips and Joker gets out,
Yeah.
he starts shooting his machine gun off at cars and then eventually
Everybody,
towards
yeah.
Batman. And Batman zooms right past him, but then does an Akira bike slide, which, if anybody doesn't know what the Akira bike slide is, like Maggie, there's an old anime from the 80s called Akira, and one of the most memorable
Fucking love that show.
one of the most memorable scenes is the main character just slides his bike to the side, and it's such a badass.
But then he
shot.
also slams, Batman slams into the...
Well, yeah, but still, the Akira slide. And they do the same thing, and there's so many movies that do the same thing. Even Jordan Peele recreated it. And Nope.
Okay.
We haven't seen it yet.
Nope.
Or you haven't seen it yet. We'll get there.
Nope.
And I'll point it out when it happens. There's even, in my Letterboxd account, you get to change the posters. If you have a pro or upgrade, where you pay a monthly fee to Letterboxd.
Oh, God, do you?
No.
Okay.
But
I was about to be like, son, what are we doing?
Are you paying them money just for
God,
posters?
come on.
I wish I had that kind of expendable cash to just buy or look at better posters. But no, the Academy and Letterboxd did this cool thing where they, just for the movies that were nominated last year for Best Picture or for 2023, 2024 Academy Awards, the movies that were nominated for Best Picture were the only ones that you could change the posters for free.
Yeah.
And so my poster for
it's Barbie.
My Barbie.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
It's
her walking towards...
It's her walking towards the bike, which is from Akira.
Well, it's walking towards the pink Barbie Corvette, right?
Is it the Corvette?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can.
Because I have seen that image replayed on every single, so for the longest time I always looked at a website called I forget what the name of the website was. But, I've seen that done for Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. The image of Akira walking towards his bike, right?
Yeah.
That beautiful shot from above.
Yeah.
I've seen that done for, Barbie, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure,
Corvette,
every single Marvel movie, every single Batman movie. I have seen, fucking Dean Winchester walking towards Baby. I have seen that reused thousands of times. And I get it. It's, it's a fun pop culture mashup that people do.
It's one of those iconic images.
It's iconic. I totally get it. But,
I love it when filmmakers throw it in there. And they're just like, you know what? I'm going to pay homage to this iconic image.
Yeah. Which, is cool.
And yeah, there is people
walking
towards a vehicle like that. But then there's also the bike slide that's also...
You're such a nerd.
But yeah, you'll see it when we watch Nope. This movie also shows probably one of the most accurate relationships between Batman and the Joker.
Yeah.
About how they can't live without each other. How Batman refuses to kill Joker, and Joker doesn't want to get rid of Batman because of... They're very symbiotic.
Yeah. They have too much fun with each other.
I don't know if Batman's having fun.
Well...
But the Joker definitely is having a lot of fun. And I think this movie does it the best outside of animation and comics. For live action, I think this one does it really well.
If you haven't seen the Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy animated series that's on HBO Max, it's a big delight. And Alan Tudyk, the incredible Alan Tudyk, plays the Joker. And Christopher Maloney from Law and Order SVU and 1,000 other things plays Batman. And in that series, it is revealed who Batman is to the Joker. The Joker finds out that Batman is Bruce Wayne, and he's so angry about it because first he's really upset that now he knows who Batman is, but then he's also super upset because his Wayne Industries electric car doesn't work as well as it was supposed to. And it's very funny, but I have always loved the symbiotic relationship of the Batman and the Joker, where you're right, like, there can't be one without the other. I don't know if there would have been, like, it's hard to say whether or not the Joker would have existed without Batman. And it's hard to, and Batman definitely could have existed without the Joker. But when it comes to, like, they're each other's true foils, right? They're each other's, soulmates, for lack of a better term. Like, there always has to be a Joker with a Batman, and there always has to be a Batman with the Joker, which is another reason why the Joker made me so angry, is because there was no Batman, and, like, who's going to stop him? But
there was also, Joker makes this comment at the end of the movie where, one of them is an immovable object, and the other one is an unstoppable force. And they are just destined
to do this
forever.
That line always makes me so sad because it's one of Heath Ledger's last lines in the film. It's not his last line, but it is one of his last lines. Yeah. And just the sadness that comes from knowing that
he won't be doing it forever. Or at least not that Joker and that Batman. It does make me a little sad because what an incredible duo. I think that Bale and Ledger had incredible chemistry as these two characters. They're a lot of fun to watch. And I think they had a hell of a time filming together. Like, there's the long-standing rumor that the entire time that they were filming this movie, Heath Ledger was, like, sullen and depressed and struggling with the character and, just really letting it affect him. But the reality is that he was having the time of his life. He, a lot of people said that he's really well-mannered and kind. A lot of people said he's really funny. He was obviously there to do a great job, and he did an incredible job. But he didn't let it affect him. The darkness didn't affect him the way that people kind of framed it after he passed. They even blamed the movie for his eventual downfall. And it, his family later disputed that and was like, no, it wasn't the Dark Knight's fault. It wasn't Batman's fault or the Joker's fault. He was just a troubled young man who always had issues with insomnia and took the wrong pills at the wrong time. But, I'm glad that narrative of, like, this Joker destroyed Heath Ledger is kind of a thing of the past, because this is one of his best performances. This movie also deals with phone privacy.
Oh, yeah.
We get into that. That was before a lot of social media started mining our data and selling our information. I mean,
and, like, I'm sure our phones are listening to us right now. And probably somehow using sonar to map this entire room, and somebody in some government agency somewhere right this moment is going, well, they have a lot of Funko Pops.
Yeah. But don't send me commercials for Funko.
No, we don't. Anywhere. We're not going to buy any more of them.
Give me better ads, YouTube. Like, how far was too far for using a citizen's information via cell phone? Like Lucius Fox says, it's beautiful, unethical, and dangerous.
Yeah.
And I love, of course, like, him being rewarded for his faith.
Yeah.
By just being like, all right, I'm going to type in my name.
And be done with it.
And the whole thing self-destructs, essentially. And reinvigorates his faith in Batman.
Yeah, and in Bruce Wayne. And just in, in the good that they can do in this community. Like, it was definitely like a desperate times for desperate measures.
Yeah, and they didn't use any of the information they got off of the citizens of Gotham to do anything against those citizens.
Yeah.
They didn't, a billionaire could have totally taken
absolutely.
all that information and...
Fucking Elon Musk would in a heartbeat. He has, and he is currently doing it. You piece of shit, Elon Musk. And Jeff Bezos with his Bonistas. Banista! Banista! So I thoroughly enjoyed the reveal of Two-Face. There are moments in this movie where they kind of really, almost a little bit too much, put the focus on Harvey Dent being the best of Gotham, and he's the one that's going to save us, and he's truly going to be the person that cleans up the streets, and fucking blah, blah, blah. And it's like, we all know he's not, right? So I think they laid it on a little thick. But seeing the carnage of his face for the first time is incredible. Rarely used, not rarely used, because he's done movies with a lot of CG, like Interstellar, but the way and Inception, yeah. But the way that they designed Two-Face's face, that burnt off side of his face, the muscle is missing, there's all that sinew,
tendons on his cheeks.
Yeah, like his eye just, out there.
Teeth way back here.
Yeah, like it is so delightfully disturbing and so good for 2008 facial CG. This is 2 years before they had a hard time making Jeff Bridges look younger in Tron Legacy. Like, this was such phenomenal CG.
The CG was good. The same year Iron Man came out, and Iron Man's suit looks great in that movie.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying
Another
that it...
Jeff Bridges movie, too.
Tony Stark did this in a cave.
4 years after this, we're watching the first Avengers movie.
And the Hulk looked pretty great, too. But I'm just saying that, like, that facial, like, the Two-Face looks fantastic. And it makes me wonder whether or not we could do another Two-Face in film. Like, I think it'd be interesting to see what Matt Reeves would do with Two-Face. Whether or not he'd go the very realistic route the way that Nolan did, or if he'd go the more, like, goofy route like fucking Schumacher and Tommy Lee Jones.
Two-Face like that.
No,
again.
that was ridiculous. But
I was always disappointed that we never got to see
Billy D. Williams
Two-Face. I would love to see what Tim Burton would have done with that character.
That would have been very interesting. I worry that because it was like the 80s, early 90s, it would have been a little bit more radically racial. But
maybe. I don't know. Tim Burton doesn't seem like the guy who...
What if the face was just pure white?
But why?
I don't know. I don't know. Look at his Joker. It just would have been
weird. Joker
weird.
Has white face.
No, I know.
Makeup.
I don't know.
Whereas
You're right.
Two-Face
Maybe I'm
just
reading in things a little bit too much, but whereas this is the best Joker outside of the animated series, I also kind of feel like it is the best Two-Face that we're ever going to see. I would love to see what Matt Reeves would do with Two-Face, but I don't think that that's going to be a thing. I think that that's a character he might not lean towards. So one scene that I really love in this film is when Reese is that slimy little Reese who works for Wayne Industries has discovered who Batman truly is, that he's Bruce Wayne, which, it does not take a rocket scientist to figure out that A, they look very similar from the chin or from the nose down, and B, who fucking else can afford to do that? But he's figured it out based on finances and old records of what the Tumbler looks like. And so he goes stupidly. So first he addresses Lucius Fox and is like, I know, and I want $10 million a year for the rest of my life. And Lucius Fox is like, so you think that the guy that spends his nights beating criminals to a bloody pulp would take it lightly that you're trying to blackmail him? Which I very much enjoyed. But then Reese goes on to television to be like, I know who the Batman is. And I can stop all this terror because I know who the Batman is. But that's right around the time the Joker decides, you know what? I like this. This is fun.
I'm having too much fun.
Yeah, we don't need to know who Batman is because Batman's my bestie. And, thus puts a bounty on Reese's head. And the long and short of it is that Bruce Wayne, being the hero that he is through and through, saves Reese's life by putting his Lamborghini, the only time I've ever found a Lamborghini to be an attractive car, because they're fairly ugly machines, in my humble opinion. But that fucking black one that he's driving is so beautiful. And he puts his Lamborghini between the police escort truck or SUV that Reese is in and a giant souped up truck that's going to crash into them. And I love that scene for two reasons. One, because of the look that Reese, or the look that Bruce Wayne gives Reese when he gets out of the car and Bruce Wayne's just like, I know you know. And and don't you fucking dare. Like,
kind of gives him a little
nod.
Like,
I've saved your life. Now do me a solid.
Yeah, we're even now.
Yeah, except, also I could kill you if I wanted to, but I won't, but I could. And second, we get to see a very rare thing in most Batman movies, which is Bruce Wayne and Commissioner Gordon having a moment. It's not the Batman and Bruce Wayne and Commissioner Gordon. It is Bruce's persona and Gordon as Gordon. Just, and Gordon's like, you did a very heroic thing. And Bruce is like, I was just trying to make the light. What are you talking about? Like, he's playing it off like he's just this rich snob that doesn't care. And Gordon falls for it hook, line, and sinker. But at the same time, Gordon's definitely like, the fuck is wrong with you, you idiot? Like, don't you know what's going on in the city right now? I think that's such
fucking billionaires.
Fucking billionaires. It's such a wonderful little scene, and I'm really glad that they included it, because it's nice to see Christian Bale and Gary Oldman sharing a scene together without any, like, giant weird suits between them. And it's fun to see Bruce Wayne and Commissioner Gordon interact when only one knows the truth, right?
You don't see many scenes in any of these Batman movies between Commissioner Gordon and Bruce Wayne.
No, you don't. I don't even think there's a scene in The Batman where at any point Jeffrey Wright's Gordon is talking to Bruce Wayne and not Bats.
They might have...
no, not even the funeral, nothing.
Let's think about the funeral.
No. And that would be a fun pairing, too, because they were so good together. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed that scene. Also, we talked about the ferries before, where it's like, how did they get all those drums of gasoline onto the ferries? My question is, after watching that incredible ferry sequence, which is, just sort of wrought with emotions and good versus evil, and whether or not, convicts have rights to live over innocent lives and all of that. All I could think while watching that scene was just, holy shit, Gotham's therapists are going to make so much money after this night. Because the trauma all of those people endure on those ferries, thinking that they're going to die, thinking that they're going to be murdered by their fellow citizens, be them felons or not. Watching the regular everyday folk vote whether or not they should blow up this ship of felons. But it wasn't just felons. It was the people working the ship. It was cops. It was the warden. It was, And
then there's a whole
moral dilemma
of... just because they are prisoners, why are their lives less meaningful than normal regular citizen who's not behind bars? And then one guy's like, they're murderers and thieves. They had their choice. They made their choice. And it's funny because, murderers is a pretty...
Yeah.
They suck.
Yeah.
But, like, thieves are annoying, but I don't think they deserve to die.
Yeah, like...
Drug dealers are annoying, and they are... kind of like a...
Drug dealers are worse than thieves, I would say.
They are. But it's interesting the guy chose murderers and thieves.
Yeah.
I was just like, what? Thieves aren't...
maybe his car just got stolen and he was really pissed about that.
Maybe
somebody picked his
catalytic
pocket.
Converter.
His catalytic converter.
His Prius.
Oh, shit. I love, too, the very tall, very large felon who takes the controller. He's like, if you can't do the right thing, then I will. And the warden realizes...
And, we're all thinking... that this guy's going to be like, come on, man up, press the button.
Yeah.
That's what we're thinking he's going to do. And he's like, I'm going to do what you should have done in the first
10 minutes ago.
And he just tosses it out the window. And it's like, fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah, like that. It's such and it kind of goes to show, too, because all the normal citizens or the everyday people on the other ship were debating at length whether or not they deserved to die or they deserved to live because they were, normal, everyday, innocent people. And here's this guy on the ship, in the convict ship, the con ship, that is like, we don't deserve to live.
It almost paints the prisoners as better people. Because even though there were like 400 and some odd people voted to blow it up citizenship.
Well, I think there was like 400 people on the ship, and it was like 120 to like 280.
Still, that's a lot of people that are just like, murder him.
Yeah, but nobody could do it, because even the guy that stood up and took the remote...
you're still going to murder hundreds
of people. Yeah.
Including innocent
And
cops.
he couldn't do it because the morality of it was too much of it. But the morality of sacrificing his own life and the life of everybody on that ship was a no-brainer for the convict. So it showed that the convict was a better person than the other guy who was like, I'll blow them up, I don't care, but then couldn't do it. This guy was like, we deserve it, And
that's how it goes against everything that the Joker believed the people of Gotham were. He thought that the people of Gotham were
worse than that.
And
that they could destroy themselves. And the reality is that they couldn't. And I also loved in the moment when the guy throws the controller out the window, he goes and sits with his friends, his posse, his group, whatever, and they all kind of like huddle around him as if, as sort of a way that like they all think that they're going to die, so they just, huddle up with their loved ones, for lack of a better term.
The closest thing they have to a loved one.
Yeah, and it is such a beautiful moment in film.
And a lot of that thanks to that, I believe, especially on the maybe not the prisoner side, but I think a lot of it, they talked at the end after Harvey Dent had died, that if it's found out that Harvey went on this killing spree, killing 2 cops
and 5 other
people, that it would have undone everything that they had worked on. Harvey Dent especially, being the White Knight of Gotham, it would have undone all his work, and Gotham would be back in the sludge that it's always been. But obviously,
not necessarily. Because here are these people who fought with the morality of living of killing somebody else in order to live for themselves, and ultimately, neither boat of people could do it. They both were like it. It was like Harvey had already made them better people, and Batman had already made them better people.
They just didn't want to taint all the work that Harvey had done. Worked on, and
one thing that I can't understand at all, that has always bothered me about the end of this film, is Gordon's son, whatever Gordon's son's name is.
I don't even remember if they
No, they say it a couple times, or at least it's listed, but I don't care to look it up. My son stole my computer from me, so
And there's a daughter. There's a daughter in the picture that never gets a single line, even though
barely
that's
even see her face.
Technically Barbara.
Yeah, that's future Batgirl. But like this little boy is kidnapped from his home. He is terrorized at gunpoint. First of all, he thinks his dad is dead. Then his dad comes back. Then he's kidnapped from his home at gunpoint. Then he's held at gunpoint by a dude with half of his face missing, right? As his mother is just like begging them to let him go, and his father is begging him to let him go. And then the kid himself is like got a gun pointed at his head, sees Batman get shot in front of him, falls off of a second or third story building, and is saved by Batman. And then his main concern after all of that is, hey, Dad, is Batman okay? Homie. Like, is he already that good at swallowing down trauma and disassociating?
His dad's taught him a lot.
I bet, because that kid is going to need a fucking therapist after all of that nonsense. That poor kid was traumatized. But then he's like, what about Batman? Dude, what about your mom? Like, give her a hug.
This is you could say this is the third film using a Harvey Dent, because Billy D. Williams was number 1, and Tommy Lee Jones being number 2. But this is the second time that Batman has used Harvey's coin against him. In Batman Forever, Two-Face uses his coin to decide what's going to happen next by flipping it heads and tails. And there's a trench or a...
It's been so long since I've seen this movie.
It's almost like a silo.
Yeah.
It's just this big, round, and deep hole.
Yeah.
It looks kind of like a silo. And there's like razor wire and blades and stuff sticking up while there's boiling acid.
Yeah, of course. Because it's not just that it's razor wires and knives. It also has to be boiling acid.
Two-Face isn't that subtle.
Oh no! It's boiling acid!
Yeah.
So he's got to make it really dramatic. And so to get him, essentially what happens is Batman throws like 100 coins into the air, and Two-Face freaks out because he doesn't know which one's his, so he tries to catch his, not knowing what it is, and he falls into the silo of boiling acid.
And razor blades.
And razor blades.
Yeah.
Can't forget
You cannot forget the razor blades.
Yeah. And then uses his coin against him again in this movie by... It's essentially just good timing.
Yeah.
The coin is flipped in the air, and when his sight is on the coin and not the people around him, Batman, who I guess he thinks he killed with the gunshot, comes out back at him and knocks him over the side. But I just thought it was funny that it's Two-Face's one of his biggest weaknesses is depending on that coin too much.
It really is. It's like the downfall of Two-Face is always the coin. There are a couple parts in this movie where Batman appears out of nowhere that makes me like really giggle, because in order for him to appear out of nowhere, he has to get into the middle of a crowded room, without anybody seeing him. When Batman appears at the party that Bruce Wayne is throwing for Harvey Dent, and he stops the Joker from attacking Rachel or whatever.
So dramatic in that moment.
It's so dramatic, but he literally has to appear in the middle of a crowded room filled with not only innocent people and terrified party guests, but also all of Joker's henchmen.
He's just waiting for the line, all right,
Like,
I want him to say, I need something to say something quippy, so I'm going to wait for Joker to say something that's going to make me come in.
Like,
and he
nobody
waits,
saw him sneaking in, tiptoe,
like,
his cape swooshing in the distance.
Oh, then you're going to love me! And punches him.
And then, also, who let him into the interrogation room
And
before the Joker? And how long was he standing there in the dark?
Because obviously they brought the Joker, and the Joker didn't see him when they brought him in. So he's just standing in a corner in the dark, just all right, I'll just wait here until Gordon
I get that that's
here.
what Batman does. He stands in the corner in the dark, but
He
it's
just waits.
those
He's
two
a very
moments.
patient man.
Those two moments, and then at the end when he attacks Two-Face and throws him off the ledge. They're just very funny to me. And yeah, that brings us to the end of the movie. Of course, we get that beautiful speech from Gordon about, the hero that we deserve. Yeah. And then, he's a dark knight, and then boom. Which is delightfully cheesy but wonderful. I mean, I will never get over the joy that I feel at the end of this movie for having watched it. As real as it was in the theater, 16 years ago? Oh boy.
16 years.
As it is now. It's a great film. And yeah, we've picked it apart a lot, and yeah, we've made fun of it a lot, but
because we love it, and
we love it. And there's a reason why this is considered one of the greatest superhero movies ever made. It's because it is. This is, one of the best action films ever made. It's one of Christopher Nolan's best films. It's the best of the trilogy for sure. This movie is pretty incredible, and I'm always happy to revisit it for any reason. It's also definitely one of those movies that, I guess, if you still have cable. I mean, at a time when we did have cable and we'd find it airing on TBS on a random Saturday afternoon, you're like, well, I'm watching the rest of it no matter what. It goes on and we watch it. But that doesn't really exist in life anymore, unfortunately. There's never really a time that I'm not in the mood to watch this film.
So, Maggie, what would you give The Dark Knight out of 5 stars?
So, I gave The Batman 4.5. And I think I'm going to give this movie a 4. It's not a 5-star film, not for me at least. There are definitely some things that that kind of still annoy me. If for nothing else, some points get docked for that fucking guy sitting in the car with Gordon during the chase sequence. God damn it, does he annoy me? Again, I love this movie. It's a beautiful film. It's a great superhero movie. It's a great Christopher Nolan movie. But yeah, I'm still going to give it a 4. It's not the best Batman movie I've ever seen, because honestly, that's the Batman for me. I really love the Batman.
This is the best Batman movie I've ever seen that includes the Joker.
It's absolutely the best Batman movie I've ever seen that includes the Joker. It deserves all the praise and love that it gets, but I'm going to give it a solid 4. What about you, Caveman?
I too am going to give The Dark Knight 4 out of 5 stars.
That works.
Yeah, it's really comes down to some dialogue choices, some editing issues.
Little things.
Little things, of
Little
course.
things that we've picked apart. I mean, the night after, the fucking 2:30 in the morning when we rolled out of this movie theater, seeing it for the first time, I would have given it 70 stars out of 5.
Well, yeah, that's always the case
yeah.
with the first time you see a movie.
But things do change with time, and
I mean, I remember coming out of the theater after seeing Rian Johnson's Star Wars, thinking that it was one of the best Star Wars movies I ever saw. But
I never had that feeling.
But that was because at the time I really wanted to believe that I was watching a really good Star Wars movie, and I was convincing myself that it was really good because I didn't want to disappoint myself. But anyway,
I get it.
That's okay. We're not talking about Star Wars.
No, we already did that for 3.5 hours.
But yeah, 4 stars.
4 stars, yeah. It's a solid one.
So Maggie.
Yes, Caveman.
I got 2 questions for you.
Hit it.
Would the presence of Oscar Isaac have made The Dark Knight a better film?
Yeah, why not?
Would it have gotten up to 5 stars?
Depends on what part he played.
Well, second question. What character would you have had Oscar Isaac play?
I have a very sweet internet friend that I've never met in real life, but I only know him thanks to Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and all those wonderful things. His name is Scott. He's a wonderful human being, and he once painstakingly sat down and, he found somebody who had done it. But either way, he sent me Oscar Isaac in the Batman cowl, and it was a look, and I was here for it. But I don't think I would have put him into this particular Batman costume, because I hate the costume. I think that he would have been great as Reese if you wanted to give him a small part. He would have been a lot of fun as the sort of Weasley guy who discovers Bruce Wayne's secret. He could have been a great Harvey Dent. He would make an incredible Harvey Dent. I think that the kindness and the madness that Oscar Isaac can portray on screen are two really incredible sides of him. So maybe Harvey Dent. Honestly, you could have given him any of the roles outside of Batman and Commissioner Gordon. He would have made a great Rachel. In fact, I probably would have enjoyed Rachel's character a lot more if it had have been Oscar Isaac. Again, changing nothing about the film, including costumes. We got to see the Joker in drag. Why not see Oscar Isaac in drag as Rachel? I would have enjoyed that a lot more. My beautiful man. I love you so much.
I would have casted him as the guy riding in the truck with Gordon. He would have delivered those lines better.
He would have done a better job.
Even been like, hey, Nolan, can we change?
Yeah, can we not say these cheesy fucking lines?
Maybe Jonathan Nolan came up with that stuff.
Or David S. Goyer.
David S. Goyer definitely
wrote
those lines.
Because
that sounds like a David S. Goyer.
We didn't really talk about the fact that David S. Goyer was a part of this movie.
No, we ran over it real fast at the beginning. But
oh boy, has
David
that guy
S. Goyer's writing
made some
rough.
of the best and the worst things ever. Ooh.
Yeah.
But as much as you want to say from the makers of The Dark Knight, we all know, David S. Goyer, we all know what you've done. And that's it for The Dark Knight. We hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we enjoyed making it for you. As always, you can follow us on Instagram and Letterboxd at MovieMinglePod. You can write us emails and tell us all of your feelings, thoughts, comments, and reactions to our podcast at movieminglepod@gmail.com. We're always excited to hear from our fans. We love you all so very much, and thank you for tuning in every single week. This Friday, the 28th, we are dropping a special episode for Pride, the 1995 drag-tastic classic that is To Wong Fu, Thanks for Everything, Julie Newmar. I cannot wait to talk about this film with all of you wonderful people. And we've got a lot more great things to come, including in a couple weeks, Inception, the last of our Nolan Fest. We're very, very excited to share that with you. Go out, have some fun, go get into some lighthearted trouble that Batman won't beat you up for, and go mingle. Bye!
Are you an effective team?
We are an effective team.
Let them fight.
How did you just do that?
I'm a really good lawyer.
Here on Caladan, we've ruled by air power and sea power. On Arrakis, we need to cultivate desert power.
Welcome, Mr. Beach. What's that bar? I'm a little confused.
Well, we wouldn't want that, would we?
I don't want to brag, but I will. I was in the Avengers.
The Avengers?
Yeah.
That's great. Thank you. What is that?
I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse.
Toga, 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 toga.